everybody. Good afternoon, or I guess good evening, or good morning, or good night, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to take a look at using NVDA. So I got my Windows computer out. I, of course, had to run a whole bunch of updates because I hadn't used it in a while. But we got it. We got it all updated. We have NVDA ready to go. And then we have a bunch of our vibe coding examples from the last two streams ready for testing. And right as I start recording, they start with some kind of saw or something outside. So I apologize if you can hear that. Hopefully not. The windows are closed, but it is pretty loud. All right. So hi, welcome. Good afternoon. Good evening. I'm Natalie McLeese. I'm founder of Aardvark, which is an accessibility testing platform. And I'm going to walk you through today using NVDA. If you haven't ever used a screen reader before, or maybe you haven't used NVDA before, or maybe you gave it a try and just found it really confusing and overwhelming. Either way, we're going to look at some basics of using it, and we're going to see how these vibe-coded examples go with NVDA. So we had tested them at the time with VoiceOver because I was on my Mac. So it's our only option. But so I'm on the Windows computer today. And hello, Ian. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for being here. Nice to see happy faces. All right. So let's talk about NVDA. It is free. So if you don't have it, you can just do a web search for it. It is nvaccess.org, and you can download it. You can give them a donation if you wish, but that is optional. So you can just download and use the software for free indefinitely. And to open up NVDA, you are going to use Control-Alt-N on your keyboard. So the letter N is in Nancy. And I'm going to open that in a second, but it's going to start talking as soon as I open it. So before I do that, I just want to say the first thing that it's helpful to learn when you're learning a new screen reader is how to make it stop talking. So with NVDA, that is just the control key. So you just tap the control key on the keyboard and it will stop whatever it happens to be announcing. Now, if you're using a mouse and you move the mouse and you move it over some content, it will start reading again. But you can keep hitting control, if you're trying to move your mouse to somewhere else and you don't want all kinds of announcements happening. And to turn NVDA back off entirely, you're going to use the NVDA modifier key plus the letter Q. The NVDA modifier key by default is insert. So the insert key on your keyboard, which depending on what kind of keyboard you're using, it may or may not have an insert key on it. So I have, for example, just a little tiny, if you can see my camera, just a little tiny, like super cheap. I think I got the mouse and keyboard for like $12 or something. It does not have an insert key on it. It does have a key that can act as an insert key, but you have to hold down a modifier with it, which makes it like finger yoga for some of these keyboard shortcuts with NVDA. So you'll see that when I launch it, when I open it up, you actually have the option to change that modifier key. And so we'll take a look at that in just a second. So I'm going to Control-Alt-N, and it does take a second to launch. So don't feel discouraged if you don't see anything right away.
Welcome to NVDA dialog. Welcome to NVDA. Most commands for controlling N.
Okay. So we don't need it to read all of this to us necessarily right now. It kind of gives you a little intro to NVDA. And you can see that there is a checkbox on the screen. It would also read it to us, obviously, if we were listening, that says we can use the caps lock key as the NVDA modifier key. So all of the keyboard commands in NVDA that would normally use the insert key that I don't have easy access to on my keyboard, I can just use the caps lock key for that. So if you're in a similar situation, or maybe you just prefer using the caps lock key, either way, that is an option for you. And then I have it set to just start NVDA anytime I sign into Windows. That's an option. You could enable or disable that, whichever you like. And then you could also not show this dialog each time it starts. But I find because I'm not a daily user of NVDA, I actually find it helpful to have this little screen pop up and let me know what's going on and what's happening. All right, so I'll just click OK.
StreamYard, Studio, Desktop Content Shared, Google Chrome,
We don't want to
Lovable App, Mozilla Firefox.
All right. Sorry, it was showing you my streaming platform. It was focused over there, so it was reading over there. All right, so we don't need to hear what's happening in the stream on with NVDA. You can control the voices, and there's a whole bunch of settings and things that you can control in NVDA. So if you don't like this default voice, you can definitely play around with the different settings and figure out how you can make that work. All right, so Control-Alt-N to turn NVDA on, and then it would be the modifier key plus Q, so either insert Q or caps lock Q to turn it back off again. And like I said, to shut it up, make it stop talking, it's just the control key. Just tap the control key, either one. Most keyboards have two, and get it to stop. If you want it to just read the next item on the page, that would just be the down arrow. I'm going to do it now.
Clickable heading level 1, get in touch.
Okay, so it read the heading at the very top of the page. We just landed on this page, so we're right at the top. I'll hit the down key again.
Have a question? We'd love to hear from you.
So you can see it just goes to the next item on the page and reads that out, which in this case was a paragraph. And before it read the heading level 1, you did hear that it said heading level 1, get in touch. So we have an idea what the structure of that content is, right? It didn't say anything in front of the paragraph. That would be pretty tiresome, right? If it was going to announce a paragraph every single time. If you want to use just focusable items on the page, you can just use the tab key, the same as you would if you weren't using a screen reader. So you could just tab through.
Name edit has autocomplete John Doe blank.
And this is, I don't remember which version of, I think this is the more accessible version of the page. Let's see.
Email edit has autocomplete John at example.com blank. Select an inquiry type button. Message edit multi-line, tell us how we can help. Send message button.
Okay, so you can kind of see how it's announcing the text that's on the element, as well as when it's relevant, what type of element that it is, to help guide us through there. To activate a button, it's just the same as if you weren't using a screen reader. You can hit the enter key or the space bar. To activate a link, just the same as always when you're using a keyboard, you just hit the enter key. We can also navigate by headings by just using the H. So just hitting the H key on the keyboard. Now this page only has one heading, so I have a feeling it's going to tell me there's no more.
No next heading.
Yeah. So with any of the keys that we'll go over, you can also hit Shift plus that key to go backward. So hitting H is going to navigate you down the page through all the headings. And then if you want to go back up, it would just be Shift H to go back up through all the headings.
Get in touch heading level 1.
So on this particular page, that's our only heading. So that's all it's going to read out. I think if we look at this page,
love of ID preview at 4370323C368-4.
Yeah, so this is one of the pages that we vibe coded in Lovable two live streams ago. And so this page is a little bit more interesting. We have a little bit more going on. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to try hitting the H key and see what we get when we try to navigate around by headings.
Clickable get in touch heading level 1. Quick response heading level 3.
We skipped a heading level there. Did you hear it? We went from an H1 to an H3, but all right, let's keep going.
Direct support heading level 3. Available 24/7 heading level 3. Send us a message heading level 2. No next heading.
Okay. So that navigated us around the page, took us through all the different headings. So if you are looking at a web page, it's a pretty common thing to kind of just scan down through the page visually and get an idea of like, what are the headings here? Like, what does it look like is happening here? And with a screen reader, you can do the same thing. You can just kind of go through all the headings, like, let me figure out what's all on this page. If there's a particular section I might be interested in, I'll be able to hear the name of the section, which is why having those headings is so important. And then making sure that those headings are actually relevant and actually describe the section of content that follows them, right? Because I want to know what's here. And if I'm interested, then I'm going to stop navigating by heading and I'm just going to start reading that section of content. So we can see why headings are so important. Now we can also open, like if you remember in VoiceOver, we had a rotor that we could open to navigate around the page. And we have a similar concept in NVDA and I think most screen readers. And we can do that with the F7 key. So the modifier key, so either insert or caps lock plus F7.
Elements list dialog. Tree view. Level 0 edit with lovable 1 of 1.
Okay, so this is similar to the rotor concept that we have in VoiceOver. And you can see that I've got different tabs basically of this that I can navigate through. So I can look at links, headings, form fields, buttons, or landmarks. So this is a nice way to get a quick overview of what's happening on a page. So on links, we just have one link here, which is our edit with Lovable, because this is a little app that we vibe coded in Lovable. And so the only link there is to take us back to that. We can also
Type. Grouping. Headings radio button checked Alt plus.
Okay, so if we go to the headings tab, you can see that we get not just the headings on the page, but we can also visually see the hierarchy of those headings on the page. So we can see that get in touch is, we know in this case it was an H1, and then the quick response, direct support, and available 24/7 were H3s, which wasn't exactly correct. And then send us a message. Was that also an H3? It looks like it was. So those should all really be H2s. And if we want to really get into it, send us a message probably shouldn't be a heading at all. It should probably be a field set, but we'll leave it alone, or a legend for a field set. We'll leave that alone for now. So this version of the page was Lovable's attempt at making it an accessible form. The other form that we were just looking at was the naive prompt, where we asked for a form, but we didn't explicitly ask for accessibility. Yes, Michelle, that is correct. It is not showing us that skipping around here, which I think is a little bit confusing. And that might be a setting that you could adjust in NVDA. Maybe we could look at a more complicated page that would have more headings and more levels of headings to get a better feel for what that would look like on a page with a lot of content. But let's go ahead and look at the form fields.
Preview.
In here. Oops.
Type. Form fields radio button checked Alt plus F.
Okay. So here we can think we're back. I've been having a little bit of trouble with my internet, but I thought it had actually settled down. It's been pretty good for the past 90 minutes or so. But of course, as soon as you start live streaming, all of that goes out the window. All right, let me go ahead and get NVDA back up again.
Welcome to okay, lovable app Mozilla Firefox. Lovable app. Elements list dialog. Elements list. For type. Grouping.
Okay, hello, sorry. Oh, live streaming is such an adventure. Okay, hopefully that does not happen again. My internet's kind of been doing that a little bit today, but I thought it had kind of evened itself out, but maybe not. Okay, so fingers crossed, we're good for the rest of the time here. But all right, let's pick up where we left off with form fields. So you can see that we have
a message. Oops. Edit. Required multi-line.
Yeah. See, I moved my mouse, so it started reading things. Okay. Let's see. Email, we can edit. Inquiry type, it shows as a combo box. It's collapsed. Opens list, and it says to select an inquiry type. Message, edit, required multi-line, send message button, and dismiss button. So let me go ahead and close this out.
Lovable app Mozilla Firefox.
And let's look at
lovable app document.
This form, which is the form that Lovable built first with just the naive prompt, where we just told it the form that we wanted. And we did not specifically say that we wanted accessibility. And this one is pretty bad. So it was the worst of the three that we tested that day. So let's go ahead and open that back up, and we'll take a look at what the form fields look like on this page.
Elements list dialog. Tree view. Edit type for type. Select an inquiry type. Button.
Okay, so let me move this over just a little bit so we can see the form at the same time. So one thing that I think is interesting is that this form actually does not have correctly associated form labels on it. And VoiceOver just read out the placeholders that were there. And it seems like NVDA is maybe doing a slightly better job at figuring out which labels should be going with the form fields. And I'm not exactly sure how it's doing that, but I do see name associated with the first one, and then email with the second one. And then you can see for the inquiry type, so this was the real test that we were looking at with this form, is we wanted to see, could AI build an accessible custom dropdown? And without being prompted to build this accessibly, Lovable did a terrible job at doing that. And so we can see that it just says select an inquiry type button. So it says it's a button, and it also, you can't interact with it. So I'll show you in a second. So we can't actually even do anything with it. And then we have the message field, the send message, and a dismiss button. All right. And then let's take a look at buttons.
Buttons. Buttons radio button pressed not checked Alt plus. B.
So we have this select an inquiry type, which is kind of funny because it's not actually a button. It's that custom drop down. And then we have the send message and the dismiss. I think the dismiss is on that little edit with Lovable tag that's down here in the
edit with
down here. I think that's what that is.
Send select landmarks.
All right.
Landmarks edit with Lovable. Compliment.
All right. So we have a notifications landmark, which has got to be something Lovable specific. And then we have the edit with Lovable, the little bug down there that's taking us back to the edit screen, I guess, is a landmark, not just a link, but a complementary landmark. So that's interesting. We have no header, footer, main, nothing here, no nav, which it is a pretty simple page, but I would expect that we would at least have a main landmark here, but there's nothing here. So let's go ahead and go back over to the more accessible version of the page that it built out.
Elcatcans, lovable app Moz book, love, bookmarks. Elements list dialog. Let type.
All right, so here we got, we have the same notifications. We have the same edit with lovable. And here we have a contact form. So we have a form landmark here. But again, no main, nothing to help me through this page, which it is a pretty simple page. You know, it's not like it's got a huge navigation at the top or some kind of giant footer at the bottom or anything like that. But I would still generally expect it to at least have a main landmark. But even on the accessible version, it seems to have missed that altogether. So this can be really helpful for getting
Buttons.
quick lay of the land, figuring out what's on a page, you know, what might I be looking for if I'm looking for links, if I'm looking for headings. I need to fill out a form. I need to know what all the form fields are. I want to know what all the buttons, all the landmarks are, right? All just different ways of kind of finding my way through a page. And I hope that this can highlight for you why we always say things like your links have to be understandable on their own, because somebody is going to come in here with a screen reader.
Links written, edit with lovable.
And get just a list of the links that are on the page. And if they all just say read more or click here or learn more, about what? Like, where am I going? What does this link do? And that's why those things are important. And then the headings like really help me find the different sections of content on the page. Form fields having good labels on them really helps me to understand how those labels, you know, how those different form fields work, which ones are required, which ones aren't. So they're all just different ways of helping me find my way around the page and really help to make things clear.
Cancel, lovable app Mozilla.
For navigation, sorry. I'm trying to talk in between NVDA, talking about things. All right, so let's go ahead and test the two versions of this page, and let's take a look at how they work. So we've talked about that I can list all the form elements in that element list with caps lock or insert plus F7. Similar to the way that I could use the H key to just go through the headings on a page, you can use the F key to go through all the form fields on a page, or Shift F key to go backward through all the form fields on a page. You can also tab. Tabbing will take you just to all the focusable items on the page. So it will take you to form fields, but it will also take you to links. It will also take you to buttons and anything else on the page that can receive focus. So different kinds of custom components, etc. We can use the B key or Shift B key to navigate through all the buttons on a page. We can navigate through certain types of form fields. So the X key, for example, will take me between checkboxes. The C key will take me between selects. We don't have selects on either of these pages. That would have been the ideal way to build out these select boxes, would be to actually use an HTML select element. But we were specifically trying to see if AI could build a custom dropdown, because it's a really common pattern that we see happening. And you can use the R key to move between radio buttons. So if you want to just navigate around radio buttons, you can do that. All right, so if we go over to...
Have a question or want, select drop-down list Android.
All right. Atomic Accessibility from Charlie Triplett is a wonderful resource if you are doing accessibility testing and you get to something like a custom drop-down, tabs, a carousel, right? There's a whole list. We can take a look at it in just a second of all the different types of components and things that you might find on a page. And this documents exactly what you should be testing and what we should expect to work as we're using those custom components.
Given the how to test a select drop.
So here's how to test a select drop-down list box. So when we're testing with keyboard only, When I use the tab key to move focus to a select, I should see that focus is visually indicated. I should be able to use the arrow keys to select an option and see the selected option being changed. And then when I use the escape key, I should see the select collapse and the focus move back to the select. So let's go back to Lovable's first attempt with the naive prompt where we didn't ask for accessibility, and let's test that on Windows.
Bookmark Lovable app. Lovable app. Name edit has autocomplete John Doe blank. Email edit has select an inquiry type button.
Okay, so one thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this custom component is I'll tab in a second when I'm finished talking to show you again. I'll go back to the email field. The name field, the email field, and the message field all have this very bright purple focus ring that shows up when they have focus. And for some reason, the inquiry type has this very pale lavender one that definitely does not have enough contrast against either the background or the background color of the select itself. I don't know why suddenly that one is different. So I think we've failed a little bit because the focus is there, but it's not super clear. And then the next thing I should be able to do is I should be able to use the arrow keys to change my selection. So let me give that a try.
Clickable edit multi-line tell us how out of edit clickable message button select an inquiry type.
So that didn't work at all. I'm going to see if I can hit the enter key to open that. Okay. So the enter key works to open it, but
button general question, button technical support, button billing inquiry, button partnership opportunity, button feedback.
Okay. So with NVDA on, using the arrow key is actually navigating me through the page to read those items. But you can see that there's no visible focus on those items. And I don't know, like if I hit the enter key now where it's on feedback, is it going to select feedback? I'm not sure. Let's try it. Okay, so it did, but we hear nothing from the screen reader. So we have no idea that just got selected. And it doesn't look like focus moved back to the select element either, because I don't see that very pale violet thing around there. So let's see.
Message edit multi-line tell us how we can have.
So you can see when I highlight that message field, that very dark, bright focus ring. I don't know why it made this
feedback button.
The inquiry type so pale. So the next thing I want to test is that escape key interaction. So let me open it again. Again, like nothing announced to the screen reader about that being opened, like nothing at all. So let's hit the escape key and nothing happens. So it doesn't close. So we failed most of the keyboard tests. So let's go over to the version from the Lovable app where we did explicitly prompt for accessibility and take a look, because it actually, I think, did the best job out of any of them.
Book Lovable app. ID preview app 437.
So we tested, when we were building this custom dropdown, we tested ChatGPT just in the chat interface. We tested Lovable, and we tested Claude Code that we were using through Klein directly in Visual Studio. And Lovable, bizarrely, did both the best and the worst building this accessibly. So it did the worst, like the thing that we just looked at, that's pretty bad. And we haven't even tested the screen reader interaction yet, that we were just testing the keyboard interaction. And then bizarrely, when prompted explicitly for accessibility, Lovable did the best of any of the platforms. So surprising result, but let's go ahead and test this one with the keyboard.
Name, contact form landmark, email at inquiry type combo box, select an inquiry type collapsed opens list.
So you can hear that it immediately, we have a very clear focus on there. I'm going to ignore NVDA for now because we're just testing the keyboard, but I was able to hear that it is a combo box. Okay, and then let's try the arrow key.
Inquiry type list. General technical support 2 of billing inquiry, partnership opportunity 4 of 5.
So one thing I would kind of fault it on is that very, very pale green background that's showing up behind the currently selected item isn't quite enough contrast, but it is at least making an attempt to highlight the currently selected item. So let me go ahead and hit Enter key to select that thing.
Inquiry type combo box partnership opportunity collapsed opens list.
So we heard that partnership was selected there. I'm going to open it again just to test the escape key as well. And we do see that once it closed, we see that green ring is around that box. So focus correctly returned to the trigger for opening it. So let me open it one more time and I'll hit escape to try to close it.
Inquiry type list. Partnership. Inquiry type combo box partnership op.
So I did have to hit escape twice, but I think that was a weird thing because of NVDA running, because that did work perfectly last time. So I did have to hit escape twice. I think part of it might have been because I interrupted NVDA in the middle of reading. And I may have stopped NVDA from talking with the first press. All right. So we can kind of see how those turned out. Let's go back over and take
Bookmark,
a look at
ID preview, select drop down.
Let's go take a look at how we can test it with a screen reader and what kinds
Select
of things
drop
we should be
down
looking for. All right, so when I use a desktop screen reader and I use the tab key to move focus to the select, I should hear its purpose is clear. I should hear it identify itself as a select, a pop-up, a menu or submenu, a list box, or a combo box. So we've got a lot of choices. We have a lot of kind of similar related components that are all going to work similarly. And depending on exactly what we're doing, we might want to use one or the other or of those. And then I should hear hints or arrows. Hints or arrows are read after the label. So on this particular form, we don't have those. So we'll skip over that one. And then I should hear it indicate which option is selected and if it's disabled, dimmed, or unavailable. And then when I use the arrow keys to select an option, I should hear the selected option is changed. And when I use the escape key, when the select is open, I hear it collapses and focus moves to the select. So some similar interactions. And let's just quickly go look at those again, because we kind of already kind of ran through this, but.
Lovable app, name edit, email edit.
Oh my gosh.
Feedback. Name edit has autocomplete job, email, feedback button.
So here I just hear feedback button, right? So it fails because I don't hear one of those list box, combo box, like pop-up menu. Like I don't hear any of those options read out to me. I hear feedback button. It is not at all clear what the purpose of that is or why I would want to interact with it. So let's see. And I think we already had kind of found out
button general question
that the arrow keys are just doing the default NVDA interaction, where with NVDA, just using the down and up arrow keys just move you through elements on the page. So not just the, using tab will move you through all the focusable or interactive elements. Using the arrow keys moves you through everything on the page. So if you want to move through all the headings, all the paragraphs, buttons, and anything, whether it's interactive or not, the arrow keys will move you through that. And so we're hearing it read out this list in order, but that's just because those are now the next elements in the DOM. And it's just coincidental that happens to make NVDA actually work, because those are each individual buttons and clicking them changes the value of that field. So it's almost like they did a little bit of accessibility accidentally, but it's not correct, because we're not actually getting the idea that we're changing the value of a form field when we're tabbing through or when we're moving through these different buttons. So yes, I could hit enter right now and select general question, which I'll do right now. But I have there was nothing. There was no sound at all to tell me that anything changed or that anything happened there. So I have no idea. First, I have no idea that that's a select and that I'm choosing from a bunch of options. I'm just getting told that there's a bunch of buttons there and I can click one of them. And then as far as I can tell, I click the button and literally nothing happens. Like there's nothing read out to me to tell me what just happened.
Get in book lovable app document.
So let's compare that to the experience of using this one.
Contact for inquiry type combo box partnership opportunity collapsed opens list.
So I hear that it's a combo box. I hear that the current value of it is partnership opportunity. I hear that it opens a list and that it's currently collapsed. I don't think there's anything else that I could need to know about that. To know like it's a form field, it has a current value. I can open up some options and hear what those are and figure out what those are. So let's go ahead and open it up.
Inquiry type list. Partnership opportunity 4 of 5.
So it even lets me know how many options I have, that my currently selected one is the 4th out of 5. And I can use my arrow keys presumably to move
Billing
through those.
inquiry 3 of 5.
And it tells me which option I'm selecting.
Technical support 2 of 5. Inquiry type combo box technical support collapsed opens list.
And then I can hear that it closed again, what my currently selected option is. And I know that I can reopen it again. So it's still not as great as if it were just a semantic select element, but it's a pretty good rendition of a custom form field. And yeah, it's also interesting, I think, to see the differences between VoiceOver and NVDA with testing this form. Let's see.
Custom navigation file, custom dropdown, contact form.
So this particular contact form, this is the one that Claude attempted. So Claude code. And this is with the accessible prompt. So let's take a look at it and figure out how we think it did with NVDA. So let's go ahead.
Enter your name, edit has autocomplete blank. You at example.com, edit has autocomplete blank.
So you can see that it's just reading out the placeholders. It doesn't have correct form labels, even though they look like correct form labels. They're not. Let's see what happens when we get to the inquiry type.
Inquiry type star combo box, select an option. Collapsed opens list.
Okay, so we heard that it was an inquiry type. We heard it was a combo box, that it will open a list. So that all seems promising. Let's see what happens when we try. I'm going to try just the arrow key.
Inquiry type star list. General question not selected 1 of 5.
Okay, so I heard that it's not selected. It's 1 of 5. It's called general question. Okay, I'm going to try moving to the next couple of options.
Technical support 2 of 5. Billing inquiry 3 of 5. Partnership opportunity 4 of 5. Inquiry type star combo box partnership opportunity collapsed opens list.
Okay, so that seemed reasonable. I'm going to just test with the escape key again.
Expanded. Collapsed.
Yeah, I had to hit it twice again. I did think, let me try that one more time, because I think NVDA was just going to start talking right when I hit it.
Expanded. Collapsed.
No, yeah, I do have to hit it twice for some reason. So that's interesting. So that's something that we would want to look at, because you shouldn't have to hit escape twice. And NVDA was definitely not reading at that time. So the markup is a little bit different. The way it got handled was a little bit different. I think the way Lovable did it was a little bit better. And the one thing that I did like when we were doing this is that Claude and ChatGPT both, when I asked for a custom dropdown, both said, "Don't you mean a semantic select element?" which is nice that they they knew better. They kind of tried to push me. And then, the whole point of the exercise was to test the drop down. So I pushed it to make a custom drop down anyway. And all of them failed pretty miserably at doing that without the prompt to make it accessible, and in varying degrees of success at doing it with the accessible prompt. But again, like, none of them got it exactly right. So then we did a second round where we tried out doing modal dialogue. So let's take a look at that.
Contact us document. Name edit required, invalid entry has auto come.
All right, so this is our starting form. So this form had accessibility issues in it, and we wanted to show a modal dialogue before submitting the form so that you would just confirm your selection. So that does mean that I have to type in these fields.
Send message button. Navigate. No next form field. No next email at.
That's weird. Why can't I type in the name field?
Contact.
Okay. Well, now I can. All right. That was weird.
Send message button.
All right. So one thing that we did note last time is that this page is just using the browser default focus styles, which in this particular browser on this particular OS happen to be blue. They happen to be almost the exact same color as our button. So there is a focus style there, but it's not super visible. So in the case where you're using blue, because a lot of the browsers and OSs use blue as a default focus style, in that case, you may want to consider doing something to your focus style to make sure that it's visible all the time. Some people will say that you don't need to do that. However, I can tell you from experience, the Aardvark website is all blue, and we received multiple complaints that people couldn't see the focus style. So we had to do a custom one because it was a problem. But let me go ahead and activate this button, which should open our modal dialog, and we'll see how NVDA deals with that. Maybe.
Test at name edit required has send message.
Okay, or it won't open it at all. That's interesting. Okay, well, there's definitely a problem there.
SDF LKJDF. Contact navigation to bookmarks.
Okay, so this contact form here, I can tell just from the URL in the browser, is Claude code and for the accessible prompt for creating a modal. So let's first make sure that the modal opens.
Contact us document. Email message. Confirm submission dialog. You are about to submit your contact form. Please review and agree to the terms before proceeding. Clickable I agree to the terms and conditions checkbox not checked. Confirm submission. Checkbox not checked. Clickable I agree to the terms and conditions.
Okay, NVDA. All right, so that worked. I don't know why that didn't work on the starter page. Oh, maybe we had it add the modal. Maybe it didn't have the modal at all. It was 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. Anyway, so here's our modal dialog. So let me go over to the Atomic Accessibility site, and we'll figure out what our test criteria are.
Web dialog modal.
All right, so for keyboard only, when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button and or use the spacebar or enter key to activate the button, I see the dialog opens. So we definitely saw that. Then when I use the arrow keys, I see the content is browsed in a meaningful order. And content behind the dialog remains inert. When I use the tab key, I see focus moves to interactive controls in the dialog and content behind the dialog remains inert. And when I use the escape key, I see focus returns to the launch button, or when I use the tab key to move focus to the dismiss or close button and then activate it, I see focus returns to the launch button. So let's go back over there.
Confirm submission dialog. You are about to bookmarks. Cancel. I can't. Cancel button.
I was making NVDA sound funny there, but you could see that as I tabbed, I can't get out of this modal. So the tab focus just moves in between the checkbox and the cancel button. The confirm button is actually disabled and presumably disabled until I check that checkbox. So those are my only two options. So let me try hitting the escape key.
Button send message.
Okay, and then we heard with NVDA that focus got returned to that send message button, which is what we would expect. When a dialog closes, focus should return to whatever we interacted with that caused it to open. That's a really common thing that gets done incorrectly. And what happens is if you have the focus inside the dialog and then you take the dialog off the page, focus just gets dropped back at the top of the page, which can be extremely frustrating if you're trying to navigate around a page and now you've got to figure out where you were, right? And it could be a very long page, it could be confusing. It could be difficult to figure out where you were. So that focus should move back to whatever opened. Again, we've got a little issue here with that focus being not visible because it's the browser default, but that's where we are. So let's take a look at screen reader.
Natalie.
Yes,
that's my name. Dialog mode. The dialog opens.
Okay, on a desktop screen reader, I use the tab key to move focus to a launch button and activate that button. I hear the dialog describes its purpose or title on launch. I hear that it identifies itself as a dialog. When it's closed, focus returns to the launch button. And while it is open, the content behind the dialog remains inert. So of course, a screen reader has different ways of navigating through content than if we're just using the keyboard. So we'll try that out. We'll test it and make sure that we can't get out of that dialog. And then when I use the arrow keys, I hear the content is browsed in a meaningful order and we don't get to the other content. Focus moves with the tab key, focus moves between the interactive controls in the dialog. Escape key returns focus to the launch button, or if we close the dialog. So let's go back over and try this.
Black contact us document, name edit required, email, message ed, send message button.
Okay, I'm going to activate the modal.
Confirm submission dialog. You are about to submit your contact form.
Okay, so it goes ahead and it reads all of the content of the dialog to us. I stopped it so that we didn't have to listen to it again, but we did hear immediately that it was a confirmed submission dialog. So I have the idea that I'm in a dialogue. I understand what's happening. I'm going to try to use the arrow keys now to see if I can get out of this dialogue.
Clickable I agree to the terms and button cancel. Button unavailable confirm. Button unavailable confirm.
Okay, so when I'm on that disable confirm button, I can't use the down key to get any further. So let me use the up key and go the other direction.
Button unknown unavailable. Your battery is running low. Dialog your battery is running low. You might want to plug in Contact us Mozilla Firefox.
Is it? Oh my gosh.
Confirm submission dialog. You are about to submit your contact form.
Okay.
Please review and agree to the terms before.
Give me 1 second because the laptop is plugged in. Hold on. Something must have happened.
Plugged in 10%.
Okay, not sure what I did. I must have bumped that and loosened it. Okay, so hopefully now it won't shut down on us in the middle of the stream. All right, so arrow keys, that's what I'm doing.
Clickable I agree to the terms and conditions. Checkbox not checked. You are about to submit your contact form. Heading level 2 confirm submission. Heading level 2 confirm submission.
Okay, so going back the other way, I can't get past that heading level 2, right? When I have NVDA's focus on that, I can't move past it. So I'm correctly trapped in the modal dialog. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the escape key and we'll listen to what happens.
Button send message.
So it moved focus back to that send message, which is exactly what it should have been. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at
navigation toolbar. Combo box collapsed. Contact us.
Whoops, there we go. This one is how OpenAI did with the new codex. So we use that for this particular form, and this is with the accessible prompt. Yes, Alex. I think I just jiggled it, so it wasn't in the laptop. But yes, plugging in the charger doesn't do anything if the charger's not plugged into the wall. But that's not what happened here. I think when I was arranging things on the desk, I loosened the little power port there, and it wasn't on. It wasn't connected
Name
all
edit
the way.
Required invalid entry has autocomplete blank.
All right, let's go ahead and I've got to type. So let's see.
Email at contact us send message button.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the dialog.
Confirm submission dialog. Please confirm you want to send this message. I agree to the terms before submitting. Checkbox not checked. Confirm submission. Checkbox not checked.
Okay, so I heard that it was a dialogue. So I understand what's happening. Let me hit tab key and see what happens if I can get out of the dialogue.
Cancel button. I agree to the term. Cancel button. I agree to the term. Cancel button.
Okay, so that seems really promising. Let me try the arrow keys now.
Button unavailable. Confirm. Button unavailable. Confirm.
Okay, so I can't get any further than the disabled confirm button. Let me go back the other direction.
Button cancel. Clickable. I agree to the terms before submitting. Checkbox not checked. Please confirm you want to send this message. Heading level 2 confirm submission. Heading level 2 confirm submission.
Okay, so same thing going back the other way. I can't get out of the modal dialog. So the last thing I'm going to do is just close it. I'm going to hit the cancel button here, and we'll see if it moves focus back to the button, to the send message button. That didn't do anything except move focus off the cancel button. That's funny.
I agree. Cancel button. Edit required has autocomplete. Natalie. Send message button.
That was weird. I don't think that moved.
Browser tabs tool. Message and send message button.
There's something funky happening there, and we would definitely have to take a look at that. All right, so we've got a couple minutes left. Let me go back to Lovable, and we had Lovable do a dialogue too. So let's go test Lovable's dialogue.
Book Lovable preview of friendly form HTTPS. Preview of contact confirm HTTPS. Preview of contact confirm graphic add to pay. Alert your paid subscription. Clickable navigation landmark. Get in touch.
Okay, so this was the naive prompt for Lovable, and if I remember correctly, it actually didn't do too terribly at it. Well, let's go ahead and see what happens when we fill this in.
Name edit has at Lovable at Test. Deselected. Selection removed. Submit button. Confirm submission dialog. Please review your details before submitting. I agree to the terms and conditions and consent to the processing of my data. Checkbox not checked. Confirm submission. Checkbox not.
Okay, so it did announce a dialogue was open there. Let me just do a quick tab check to see if focus is trapped in this dialogue.
Cancel button. Close button. I agree to the terms. Cancel button. Close button.
Okay, so tabbing, I can't get out of the box. Let me try the arrow keys.
Button unavailable, confirm. Button cancel. Clickable, I agree to the terms and conditions and consent to the processing of my data.
So I'm on that close button. The focus is on the close button at the top right of the modal. And I'm trying to hit the up key to see if I could go backward. And it seems like it looped around and started me back at the bottom of the dialog again.
Checkbox not checked. Message, test. Email, test@test.com. Name, Natalie. Please review your details before submitting. Heading level 2, confirm submission. Heading level 2, confirm submission. Heading level 2, confirm submission.
Okay, so going back up, I can't get past heading level 2, confirm submission. So maybe that close button is not actually the first thing in the dialog. It looks like it is, but it must be the last thing in the dialog. So let me go ahead and use the down arrow real quick.
Please review your detail. Name, email, message, checkbox not clickable, I agree to the button cancel. Button unavailable, confirm. Button close.
Yeah, so the close button is the last thing in the dialog. So I can't get out of the dialog. Let me go ahead and hit the escape key.
Notifications, F8, region list.
So there's where it fell down. It did not move focus back to that submit button. It moved focus up to the top of the window. So let's go ahead and look at Lovable's accessible prompt, how it did on that.
Contact back. And create a contact form with fields that busy. Lovable. Alert your paid subscription. Main landmark clickable. Alert your paid subscription will expire. Navigation landmark button.
All right, so this is how Lovable did when we gave it a prompt.
Fill out the name that
we explicitly wanted the form to be accessible.
E-N-T-E-S. Lovable app T-E-T. Submit button.
Okay, let me go ahead and press the submit button.
Confirm submission dialog. Please review your information before submitting. By confirming your mess.
Okay, so that announced it was a dialog. Let me just double check tab key.
I agree to the terms and condition. Cancel button. I agree to the terms and condition.
So I can't get out with the tab key. Let me try the arrow keys.
Clickable. I agree to the terms and button cancel. Button unavailable, confirm. Button unavailable, confirm. Button unavailable, confirm.
Okay, so I can't get out the bottom of the dialog. Let me try to get out the top.
Button cancel. Clickable. Checkbox team. Please review your info. Heading level 2, confirm submission. Heading level 2, confirm submission.
Okay, so it correctly trapped focus inside the dialog. And let me close it and see what happens.
Blank. Blank. Submit button.
I don't know what blank blank was, but it did correctly move focus back to the submit button. So that's something it didn't do when we didn't explicitly prompt it for accessibility. And when we did prompt it for accessibility, I'm just going to go ahead and turn NVDA off right now.
Exit NVDA dialog. Okay, Lovable.
All right, and when we go back over here to these acceptance criteria for a modal dialog, we gave it these criteria in the prompt to say, build me a custom dialog that does all of these things. On the custom dropdown, Lovable did absolutely abysmal at trying to make that when we didn't explicitly ask for accessibility. Once we did, it actually did the best out of any of them. I did like that OpenAI Codex and Claude Code kind of both pushed me to use just a semantic select element rather than the custom dropdown I asked for. So that was a good thing that happened. And Lovable, I think, was the real shock both times around. Like if it's prompted explicitly for accessibility, and especially with some explicit requirements, it actually does the best out of any of them that we tested. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're vibe coding, you do have to still have a pretty good knowledge of accessibility and know what you need to ask for, and know how to test it and make sure that what you're getting back is actually accessible. All right, so we accomplished a couple of things today. We tested all of these vibe coded elements that we built over the last couple of live streams with a new screen reader and on Windows, which could always be a little bit different. And we also took a look at NVDA and how to use it. So if you are new to NVDA, I would say the most important thing to know is the control key to make it stop talking so that you can think for a second. And then the other thing is DeQ publishes for all of the screen readers. They publish a kind of like one-page cheat sheet of all of the different keyboard commands. So it is available as an HTML page, and it's also available as a single-page PDF, which is really handy, if you want to print it out and keep it on your desk to refer to, or up on your screen and just referring to it. It gives you all of the basic key commands, and then the special key commands for reading text, because NVDA actually does some really specific, you can get really granular when it's reading. You can read words, specific lines, specific characters, sentences, words, and really drill into specific content. It also has a lot of special handling for forms, and then also for tables. So we looked at forms a little bit, and we looked at navigating around the page and using the element list. But we didn't really look at tables. We don't. We could do that another time maybe and dig into the tables. I think the reading things are really handy if you're an actual screen reader user and you're using a screen reader to listen to web pages. They're not as helpful for if you're just doing accessibility testing, because that's not going to likely uncover any accessibility issues that you would need to address. But it would if you're navigating through forms and interactive elements and things like that. It would definitely uncover issues there that you might need to pay attention to. And every screen reader is different. NVDA works best when it's partnered with Firefox. VoiceOver works best partnered with Safari. And so you want to keep in mind that you want to pair up your screen reader and your browser for testing, and make sure that you're using one of the more ideal pairs. And Firefox and NVDA are both free. If you have a Windows computer, you can get those both for free and do some quick testing on any of the code that you might happen to be working on to see if there are any issues with it. And there is a way to still run those on a Mac, but I haven't personally tried it, but I have seen people publish tutorials and publish videos on YouTube on how to do that. So you could get a test environment set up to use NVDA. Like if you're only a Mac user, you can still do it. Ali, you wanted to test NVDA on a PDF. So not today, we're wrapping up the stream for right now, but that is something that I could consider for a future stream, is to kind of maybe do a quick look at using a screen reader with a PDF. And we could look at, maybe VoiceOver and NVDA, because I could do both. I think I could probably invite myself to the stream and have both my Mac and my Windows machine connected to the stream at the same time. With all the wild west of live streaming, why not? Why not invite more chaos into the world? So, all right. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I hope you're excited. I hope you're going to give NVDA a try, or if you are vibe coding, I hope you learned that you really do have to be explicit about your need for accessible code, and you have to test any code that it gives you and ensure that it's doing what you asked, because it is not inclined, right? Those models are trained on the code that's out on the internet right now. And for the most part, that code is not accessible. And so you really do have to direct it and prompt it to get an accessible result. And so I think it's good to be aware of that. And then also good to be aware of resources like Atomic Accessibility that, I said that we were going to go take a look at. If we go back to this HTML, you can see that we've got the different landmarks. We have headers, so search input navigation, things that would be in your nav, So breadcrumbs, buttons, links, etc. In Maine, we have a whole bunch. So cards, breadcrumbs, animations, alerts, chats, dialogues, dialogue alert, dialogue modal, dialogue sheet, FAQs, maps, charts, and graphics, popovers, tabs, toasts, tooltips. So if you're building any of those things, this is a great place to come. And if, like, for example, if I needed to build a tooltip, if you just check this tooltip, it'll actually fill in over here and will tell you how to test it with a keyboard, how to test it with a desktop screen reader. Some of them also have mobile screen reader on them. And then this URL is similar to this page here, where it's just all of this information and also includes video demos of all of the different screen readers using that, and also usually includes some code examples of what that should look like. So this is an amazing resource that is available for free on the internet. So it's a great place to come. You know, you don't build tabs every day, right? So 2 weeks from now, when you need to build tabs again, you can come back to this resource and figure out, like, how are these actually supposed to work? Like, what are the keyboard interactions those are supposed to support? And what are the screen reader interactions those are supposed to support? And how do changing tabs get announced and all of those kinds of things? So this is a wonderful resource for making sure that what you're building is actually accessible. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. We'll do it again 2 weeks from today. I'll announce shortly what the topic will be. We might do the PDFs, but thank you for being here, and I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you all soon.